Its beaches are the stuff holiday brochures are made of, and tourism is a major money spinner for one of the world's poorest countries. But Kenya's tropical paradise hides a dark secret within. We've been on a harrowing journey. From nightclubs where European men pick up 12-year-old Kenyan girls, to this orphanage where children as young as 6 have found sanctuary after sexual abuse by foreign tourists. A journey into a world of cruelty and desperation, a world we could scarcely have imagined.
They sort of feel that they can do anything they like when they come to Kenya and get away with it.
Mombasa after midnight, and the city's clubs are filling with white male European tourists ogling and fondling teenage girls. The teenagers wear high heels or pay a bribe at the door to get in. The ultimate prize is a Mzungu or white man who will pay for sex 5 times what a Kenyan labourer can earn in a day. But the price these girls are paying is a stolen childhood. Anastasia says she's 13 now and has been prostituting herself since she slept with a British tourist at the age of 10, a crime which back in Britain would be classed as rape. Her parents couldn't even afford school shoes, so she set out for a better life amid the bright lights of Mombasa. That life is sharing a flat with a fellow prostitute, Leila, who is 14. And both girls say the number of children involved is growing.
When I started at the age of 12, I could go into a nightclub. Maybe I can get 10 to 20 girls. At least you can count and know that that is a prostitute. But now there are many, all over the place. Sometimes I do get stressed. I ask myself, or I ask God, what have I done wrong? I'm still a child and I'm doing this.
3 years ago, a study by the UN children's agency UNICEF warned that there were thousands of girls like Leila, but that was before Kenya was plunged into political violence and economic crisis and a drought which has left 10 million Kenyans without enough food to eat. The author of the UNICEF study now reckons her findings are an underestimate.
The study pretty strongly demonstrated that it was approximately 30% of the population of children between the ages of 12 to 18 who were engaged in some form of sex work.
That's an astonishingly high figure. How many thousands of people are we talking about?
We're talking about 15 to 20,000 children. The researchers that I worked with when I conducted the study all tell me now that they have a lot of visual evidence of an increasing numbers of younger and younger children.
Just 2 miles from Mombasa's beachfront hotels and you're a world away. We found local tribesmen dancing in memory of a dead friend. Hardly anyone has a job in this village, and the local elders say they're battling to stop their children from heading to the beach in search of a white man with a wallet full of cash.
When you go to the beach, you will get a European, a foreigner, who will give you money. And then they just flock there.
We had heard that resorts north of Mombasa were the centre of the underage sex trade, so we drove for about an hour to a village near the town of Malindi. And the scale of what we found left us profoundly shocked. Teenagers shelling maize told us it was normal for young children to sleep with African men in the low season to prepare for rich foreigners later. And the village elder was so concerned about his village's children that he sent several families with their 12 and 13-year-old girls and boys to talk to us.
So we have a group of children here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of you. Can you tell me how many of you have had sex with foreigners on the beach? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, 4.
4 of you. 4 of the 10 of you. Almost half.
It was Fatuma's story which affected us the most. She's 13 now, but she says she was driven by hunger to sell herself to 2 European tourists named Andre and Thomas at the age of 11.
The first one, I get it 1,000.
1,000 shillings, so that's £10.
Yeah.
And the second man?
The second man, that day I didn't get some. He gave me 500.
He gave you
500.
500, so £5.
It's very sad because my body is the temple of God.
Your body is the temple of God.
Yes.
With her mother's permission, Fatuma showed me the beach where she sold her body to the 2 white men. She told me about her routine on Sundays. In the morning she goes to church. In the afternoon, her family's poverty forces her here to look for more foreigners. And her mother claims she's powerless to stop her.
Kuhusu Fatuma anarandaranda kwa sababu ya kihali ya kimapenzi sina, chakula sina nyumbani, hivi ni mtoto wa shule nimekwama amefukuzwa ndo anazunguka.
What makes what I've just heard even more shocking is that it isn't even a secret. It's widely accepted in this village that children are sold to foreign tourists for sex. And what's happening here is happening up and down the Kenyan coast, with thousands of children, possibly tens of thousands of children, involved.
There are pockets of resistance, like this girls' football team set up by a Kenyan charity. Its motto, "My God is my strength, not my white man." But the school teacher in charge admits that 16 of the 35 girls she trained last year are now back on the beaches, selling themselves.
They take the child of Kenya just because we are poor. They misuse the child. Personally, it hurts me. I feel pain. Any foreigner found sleeping with a Kenyan child should be taken back to his country and never be given allowance to come to our country again.
All along the coast we'd heard that children abused by tourists are now younger than ever. But we wanted evidence. So we went to Mombasa's only public clinic specialising in sexual violence, where cameras have never been allowed to witness the terrible suffering within. The sound you can hear is of a 6-year-old boy crying out after being raped by a neighbour. Stark proof that child sex abuse is not just a tourist problem. Crimes against children are committed by Kenyans as well. And this clinic is unique in confronting a scandal many would rather ignore. This is the clinic's admissions book, and it reads like an astonishing chronicle of cruelty. Over 1,000 children treated here in the last 2 years. And the academic analysing the daily roll call says their ages are falling, with more and more sold for sex.
So the ages we have here are 9, 10, 8, 15, 10, 6 years old here. That is typical of our clinic. We have 78% under 15 and...
What, all raped or sodomized?
Raped or sodomized. This is all violations against these children.
How many of these horrific child abuse cases have been carried out, perpetrated by tourists from abroad?
The national estimate, based on a report by UNICEF, is that 40%, approximately 40 to 50%, it's a hard number to calculate, are committed by tourists from abroad.
On busy days, an abused child can wait 8 hours to see a doctor. This clinic is the first of its kind in Kenya, and the doctors wonder how many abuse cases never get reported at all.
We don't know what the situation is exactly outside, but we are sure that what we are seeing is just a tip of the iceberg.
Do you get a sense that any of these cases you deal with of child abuse end up in court?
Basing on our judicial system and the various loopholes we're currently having with evidence collection, we don't have even evidence collection kits. So I'd say it's very rare for a perpetrator to be jailed. Very, very rare.
In June, Kenyans near this beach took the law into their own hands, hacking down beach huts after a European tourist was accused of molesting 9-year-olds inside. A local campaigner told me that even if the tourist was caught, he could bribe the police to drop the case. Ours was a journey of painful contrasts, the tropical beauty of the holiday resorts jarring with the desperation of the children nearby. And as we continued our investigation, those contrasts became ever more disturbing. We found Henry, a 7-year-old molested by a white man in exchange for pocket money, new clothes and a bag of flour. His father wants the police to bring charges, but the police have told the parents that the tourist has fled to Europe and may never return. And in a mother's proud face, we saw a family struggling to keep its dignity.
Na kama hatuwezi kujua atakuja lini, na kama hatakuja itabaki hivyo kwa sababu hatuwezi kujua atakuja lini. Ikiwa mimi kama wakati ule nilikuwa na pesa, ningechukuliwa tight, lakini kwa sababu sina kitu, ndio sababu inachukuliwa hivi hivi. Inasemekana mpaka aende arudi.
The authorities know there's a problem. Look at the billboards. They hope a new tourist police force will be patrolling the beaches by the end of this year. But this is a country which fears that any attack on its reputation and innocent tourists, the vast majority, could be driven away.
We are going to take strict action on defaulters or criminals who are taking advantage of young children. As a parent, as well as a country, we cannot afford abuse of our children. At the same time, if it is publicized, blown out of proportion, it will destroy the same effort of eradication of poverty by destroying tourism.
But parents and charities say the time has come for the truth to be told. This church orphanage is sheltering a 6-year-old girl who has told her carers about her visits to hotel rooms and being filmed for pornographic videos. And the charity worker who rescued her says the abuse probably began at the age of 3.
The doctor said she has some whip-like lashes on her back, and she had a vaginal injury as well, and there's some sodomy as well.
And she's just 6 years old.
And she's just 6 years old.
And as far as we know, do we know who carried this out? Who committed this crime?
She says it was, Mzungus.
White men.
White men, yeah. Laws are going to get stricter, and they can't go back to their families pretending not to be pedophiles anymore. And they're going to wind up in jail eventually.
This little girl is now safe, no longer refusing to eat, no longer expecting to stay up all night. But up and down this 300-mile coastline, Kenyan children are suffering, their stories still untold. Jonathan Rugman, Channel 4 News, Mombasa.